Do 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 do.
Hey, how's it going? It's Nancy Gamon. Thanks for visiting. Today we're talking all about creativity. I had such a fun time in a virtual interview with my friend Dr. Mary Lou Davis. She was teaching a course on creativity at the Savannah College of Art and Design. I've edited our conversation into 3 videos, and this is the first one. So today we're talking about what it means to think of yourself as a creative person and what it means to be a creative professional. So you're invited to listen in. Let's get started.
Hi, Nancy. Thank you so much for doing this interview.
Absolutely. How are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you. And you?
I'm doing great. You're catching me at that lazy brained morning time. So we'll have a good conversation, I think.
Oh, that sounds terrific. So I start this interview with simple questions that my students can ask the people they're interviewing. So I start by, do you consider yourself creative?
Well, so it seems like the obvious answer would be yes, right? But I have been thinking about this, and I think that that is not something that I would have generated on my own. I think that that comes from other people. That when we're children, we're all creative, right? We make up things, we play, and I seem to have some kind of vague memory of at some point that first adult saying, "You're so creative," and really wondering what that meant and asking my mom, why would this person say something like that to me? So I think that, certainly if someone said, well, describe yourself in 3 words, the first word would be creative. But I think of myself just as being me, and that it doesn't seem like an unusual thing to be creative. That seems like a label that comes from the outside.
Yes, that's interesting that we are just who we are. Do you consider yourself a creative professional or a professional who works in the creative fields?
Yeah, so I do make money from things that come from my brain. I have never considered that label before. I guess so. The label of creative professional is not something that was in my head until you sent your questions. I make things. I do make money from my creative thoughts, but and I'm legitimately in that industry. So I think that when I think about creative professionalism, it has maybe more to do with the seriousness of intent regarding the activity as opposed to the actual monetary gain that seems to be, to me, implied by the word professional. So to handle your creativity in a professional manner by honoring it, by giving it your energy and your money, investing yourself in that, by carrying yourself in a professional manner out in the artist community or with galleries or community centers. To me, that would be a creative professional, whether or not you ended up, with a dollar at the end of it.
Such a different way of thinking about using your creativity professionally. I'm fascinated. Absolutely. I'm gonna have to think about that one some. You may have opened up whole new doors in my thinking about what I'm doing with my students. How long have you been doing the work that you're doing?
Well, so that's a little bit of a tricky question. I guess I would say that I entered the professional category of things in 2006 when I opened an Etsy shop. And so that was the first time that I began selling the things that I was doing. So, before then, I was making things for myself, making things for friends and family as gifts, things like that. So that was when there was a shift into the money attached to creativity, which changes all kinds of things. And certainly since then, it has been quite a journey. So that first thing was embroidered bookmarks. That's what I was selling on Etsy. And, as time went by, I really just shifted more to art and learned to paint and create textile art and things like that. So I make money in different ways now. Like teaching workshops is probably my greatest income source. Yeah, so 2006, I guess, is when I would say.
Wow. So you just really kind of, what had you been doing before, if I might ask?
A whole variety of things. So my bachelor's degree is in mortuary science.
Really?
So when I got out of college, I worked at a funeral home. I was an embalmer. And from there, just ping ponged around to a whole variety of industries, retail management. My favorite job was working at an engineering firm, and that is where I had been and got laid off in 2010. And so that really was a huge shift for me. And I haven't been traditionally employed since. So it was just a wonderful, wonderful, stunning, scary thing to lose that job and all of a sudden be out on my own. And it just coincided with this miraculous thing of someone saying, "Hey, would you like to have an art exhibit? It would give you a deadline and a reason to make art." And that was not what I was doing. I wasn't making art. And so to have someone say, "Would you like an art exhibit?" I thought, you don't say no to that, right? If the universe tosses that in your lap, holy cow, you better just say yes. So I did. And then was reading this book, I think it was by Annie Lamott.
Oh.
And she said, if you want to write a good story, write 20 crappy ones. I'll clean up her language a little bit. And so I thought, okay, if I want to make good art, I need to make 20 crappy pieces of art. So I just have to start doing that. So I just sat down and just started making art. And I figured I needed to just get through the 20 lousy ones, to emerge to the place that something was going to be worthwhile. So for me, it was a very maybe free and awkward or unusual way to enter the art industry. So I didn't worry about those first pieces. I knew that they were just a way of getting to something that was going to come later. What Annie did not say in her book is that seems to have to happen every single time. It's not you just make the 20 and then you're set and everything's good after that.
I was picking up on that, and your story is going to go, I don't know if it works just once.
So yeah, lots and lots of errant pieces along the way, but I guess I'm used to that, and I'm okay with that now, and maybe because of that's how that I started. You just get through the lousy ones, and all that knowledge and experience comes together, and you get the good one. And then you go through some more lousy ones, and then you get that nice one again, and you keep going. I don't even remember what your original question was.
It's a little bit interesting because I'm thinking about my students, and we've been talking about how creativity is inefficient, how you have to make lots of mistakes, how you have to have courage and perseverance. And a lot of them want to keep thinking, no, I can make it efficient. Good luck. So I was sort of feeding off that line of thought.
Yeah. So I guess maybe it was timeline. So 2010 was maybe when I entered into the art industry, which was a completely foreign thing to me that I had no experience in whatsoever. And so I had never been to an art opening until I had a piece that was accepted into an exhibit. I didn't know you could go to art openings. I thought this was like, some secret club of people who were in some societal tier that was way different from me, or they were members of, a museum or something. I didn't know you could just be a member of a museum, things like that. So I had no idea what was going to happen when I walked into that first opening, because I'd never been to one before. I thought everybody was going to be dressed in black and having conversations that I couldn't understand. Here they were just, neighbors and things, at the community arts center. But here was my piece on a pedestal, and of course, it had come out of my sewing machine and I had sewed it and manipulated it, but now it's on a pedestal and it's a piece of art. And to see people with their hands clasped behind their backs so they wouldn't touch it, and just leaning in and looking at it very carefully and asking questions was just such an unusual experience for me. So it took a while to kind of understand what the heck was going on in this industry, and how things were organized, how galleries worked, how community centers worked, things like that. And I feel like I'm still learning that and navigating that, but I certainly feel more comfortable with it than I did at first.
It's a really remarkable story of sort of discovering an aspect of yourself that you hadn't had as a major focus, and then kind of diving into it and knowing that I don't know anything, so I can go ahead and make mistakes and it'll be okay.
So that's the end of the first part of our conversation, and I would be very interested to hear your answers to these questions, how you think of yourself regarding being a creative person or as a creative professional. In the next video, we'll talk about what kind of things help creativity and what gets in the way of creativity. Thanks for joining in today. I'll see you next time.
Do 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 do. Do 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 do.